Hey guys, welcome back to Stream Elixir. This is Miles again. We are going to be going over the message and responses button today, as you can see right here. So we're going to click that, and this is what you're going to see initially. So what this button is dedicated to is obviously the messages and responses. So at the very top, we have three buttons: ads, lurk, and responses. If you recall, in our advertisement button video, we talked about how we would be going over setting a generic message for all of your advertisement channels. Now, that being said, you can specify specific messages that goes to each advertisement channel, but what we're going to be going over is how to set a generic one if you don't want to do that and just send the same message to every advertisement channel when it goes through that advertisement loop. As you can see here, it's going through that for me right now. So this is what you're going to see. You're going to see this box. It's going to say, come to my channel, and you're going to be like, what in the world is this? Well, this is the message that is getting sent to these channels that are labeled ad. So if we scroll over that here, you can see there is a what's this button. It explains what this is. The advertisement message sent to your selected advertisement channels. Use this message to encourage people. Okay, we will have to fix that. It's supposed to say, use this message to encourage people to come to your channel from community channel hubs. So it's going to say, come to my channel by default. You're not going to want to use that. So the first thing we recommend doing is turning advanced advertisement on. That's going to give you two messages. It's going to send two messages to every advertisement channel in a period of time, typically around every 30 seconds. It's going to do that. So Twitch has a speed limit in place. Imagine a speed limit. It says you can only send X amount of messages in 1 minute. But there's sub-laws to that speed limit. The primary one is that you can only send the same message once every 30 seconds. So, a way around that, we have come to my channel exclamation point here. In the second message, come to my channel exclamation point exclamation point. There is a single character difference. A simple single character difference in your advanced advertisement messages will allow both messages to send back to back. So we make this what we want it to say. Typically, I do something like this. I use all caps because I just love capital letters. L for L, F for F, come to my stream and type L for L, and I'll auto lurk you back. We'll take that, exclamation point, paste it twice so it takes up about 3 lines. I recommend having your advertisement be anywhere between 2 to 4 lines in length because you want it to be seen. And for example, if we go to Commander Root and we look at his chat, and we went over this in another video. This is a channel dedicated to L for L and F for F in the small streamer community. Look at how rapid it's going. So the longer the message is in length, the longer it's going to be seen. So in between, 2 to 4, it can be as long as you really want, but I recommend 2 to 4 lines. So we'll take this message here again, put it on our second message, and we'll give it a 1 character difference by adding an extra exclamation point. And now those will go through without error. So the next thing we are going to talk about in this button is going to be the lurk tab. Now, yours is going to look a little different than mine. You will have the default messages in place. I recommend starting with a clean slate, deleting all of those. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the ones I have in place here, and we will go over this. So this is the messages that get sent to all of these people on your lurk list. Every one of these people that are online are going to get one of these lurk messages once we create them, of course. So let's talk about what's acceptable as a lurk message. So there's a lot of different views on this, but the best way to be clear of anyone who would get upset over what your message may say is to keep one rule in place. Do not create a self-promotion excuse me, a self-promotion lurk message. You want it to be simple, you want it to be to the point, and you do not want to self-promote with it. The advertisement channels are for self-promotion. These are the messages that are going to actual people's streams that are streaming. So, a very common one, exclamation point uptime. It's simple. It's not self-promotion. It's not going to be looked at as spam. And, I mean, that's about as good as you can get. So we're going to go ahead and add that. So it's now been added. So a few things about these messages here. You can have as many of them as you want, and they go in absolutely no specific order. So let's think of another one here. Hey, great stream. Let's go ahead and add that. Keep up the good work. So now when the program runs its lurk cycle, it's going to pick one of these messages and send it out to everyone on your lurk list. Now, there is ways to make custom messages for each person you're lurking. We'll go over that in another video. For now, we're just going to cover this messages and responses button, but I will go over every possible scenario in separate videos in this series. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the responses button now. So the program has built-in responses. If someone types L4L in your stream, it triggers the lurk request response. So what this does is when someone types L4L, it's going to acknowledge that person. It's going to say their name. So say NASCAR Jake came to my stream and typed L4L. It's going to say NASCAR Jake was added to our lurk list. You can always mention me and say stop to remove yourself. We'll see you in your channel. There's a response for every scenario. If that person's already been added to our lurk list, it's going to trigger the lurk request failure response. It's going to trigger a lurk request blacklist response if the person wants to be blacklisted. If he wants to be removed, it's going to trigger a remove request response. If that remove request fails, it's going to send a failure response for that. You can completely customize this program. Everything that this program does can be customized to your liking. So, if we scroll down, you can see there is also host raffle responses. This program gives you the ability to create a host raffle channel, a channel that is dedicated to giving away hosts. It's a very popular thing that's going on Twitch right now, and it's a good way to give back to the community as well as grow. So, if someone wins, or if someone enters your host raffle, it's going to fire this host raffle response and the host raffle follower response. Any situation is here. This is where you can configure that. So let's be clear about this, though. This is not something you have to configure. If you look closely here, I didn't enter these. These are pre-configured and by default in the program. Now, you can customize them, of course, but it is not mandatory. So if you see any text like this that is light gray in one of these boxes, that's what it's going to send by default. So if I type something, it goes away, and that's going to be my new message. But if I delete it, it comes right back to the default. Now, also, a very good thing to know, if you look closely here, it has %, user %. That is how you acknowledge someone. So if I said, this is, once again, the lurk request response. So if someone types L4L, this is going to fire off. So if I did %user, %user, %, it is going to trigger that person's name that said it. And we will say, hey, thanks for the lurk. See you in your stream. Okay, so now it's going to say that person's name, hey, thanks for the lurk, see you in your stream. And the same thing goes for every other possible scenario in this list. Now, we also allow you to configure events. So if someone subscribes, you can turn this on and it's going to thank that person. And it's, of course, customizable. The same thing goes for cheers and hosts as well. Now, the time of day greeting, okay? So this master message here, imagine this. Okay, so if we recall, I just went over the %, user %. It says that person's name, okay? So if you do %, TOD, %, it's going to grab the time of day that it is currently and say whatever your master message is here. So we have good. It's going to say good, and it's going to go down here and grab the time of day. So if it's between midnight and 1 a.m., it's going to say night. 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., it's going to say night. 6 a.m. to noon, it's going to say morning. Noon to 1 p.m., it's going to say afternoon. 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., it's going to say afternoon. And 6 p.m. to midnight, it's going to say night. So if we look right here, it's 6:15 p.m. If I put the best example, I guess, would be here. If I put this user, thanks for the lurk in your stream. Hope, TOD, %. So now it's going to say their name. Thanks for the lurk. See you in your stream. Hope. Hope you have a %, TOD, %. So if we go down here, we look, our master message is good time of day, ! So in that spot, it's going to say good night because we're in between the 6 p.m. to midnight section. And that goes, once again, for any situation you use that in, whether it's in the host raffle or if it's in the lurk area of responses or the follow responses. Now, this all occurs in your stream chat. We also allow customization in the whispers. So the program will also acknowledge anything that is sent into your whisper inbox, whether it be the L for L request response or a F for F request response. We can also trigger sub-thanking via Whisper, cheers, and hosts. It's the same thing as a stream chat. It's all done in the Whisper inbox instead of your stream chat. That about covers it for the messages and responses button. Later on in the series, once we've covered all these buttons, I will be doing extra videos that cover more on what our support agents and what the devs recommend on doing to help improve success rates. But as of right now, this series is going to strictly cover what is in these buttons and what options you have in these buttons. So I really hope you all enjoy the series. You can check us out at streamelixir.com. You can hop in our Discord. You can find it on our website or in the description of this YouTube video. I really appreciate your all's time, and I hope you all have a great night and have a happy time streaming.